let's get to this deal. This deal that's looming around Juve and Barcelona, which is Pjanic going to Barcelona and Arthur coming into Juventus. A lot of fans hung up on the 80 million euro price tag on Arthur, but there's a 70 million euro price tag on Pjanic. We know that both teams have massaged those numbers to help the books. This makes sense as why Juve pushed so hard for a guy that was adamant about staying with Barca. It's starting to make sense. There's nowhere else you're probably going to get a team that's going to agree to that number that's going to help your books, which is huge for Juve at this moment in time. You're not going to get that anywhere else, and it's starting to make sense why they pushed so hard. Ultimately, it's going to be us swapping Pjanic for Arthur with a cost of 10 million euros. That's right. Huge, with a positive sale in the books, because they're both going to be done as a sale and not as a swap. This is that's just a good piece of business, really. It really, really is. Pjanic has faded. He was great with us at the beginning, had some good seasons. It has been fading. He's 30 years old. I don't think you're going to get that value is just absolutely insane. And if people are doubting anything, you really need to go and tune into what Barcelona fans are saying and reacting, because they are losing their minds right now.
And the bench and the locker room.
Yeah, the players now reported. That's a great point, Tony. Now the players are stressing their concerns and just saying what is going on. And it is one of these deals now, once you see these financials and everything, that it's like, this is like too good to be true almost for Juve, you know? And the thing is with Arthur, even if it doesn't work out, he's going to hold that value. Like, he's going to hold value because he's a younger player. So this move, it's really making sense as far as why Juve have pushed so hard. The thing is, with this deal, it would not go through. So the players are now set. I heard it's locked and set. The physicals will be tomorrow. Pjanic in Barcelona, right. Arthur in Turin. Now, the thing with this is, what do we do with Pjanic for the remainder of the season? For me, you know, I'd have a hard time having faith in this player that's got this deal looming over his head, that's about to go to Barcelona, who has been putting in mediocre performances for quite some time now, and you've got Bentancur continuing to grow. For me, it's a no-brainer. You play Bentancur as your main and you use Pjanic to rest players. That's how I proceed. I had another Juventino say that he wouldn't do that, because why let Bentancur grow in that spot when Arthur is going to come in? I don't think Arthur is set to play just ahead of the defense. I believe he's set to play as one of the Metsalas. But to me, I think you go, and Arthur has been playing as one of the side midfielders for Barcelona. I think Bentancur, you go with that regardless, and you let him grow, and Pjanic used as a sub. Tony, I want to get your thoughts on how Juve should proceed having this deal looming over their heads and whatnot.
So I agree with the Barcelona fans. I mean, this to me is all positive for us. Pjanic is at the twilight of his career. Arturo is just starting his career, 23 years old. Like I said, even if Arturo comes over and doesn't even do anything for us, I think we come out positively here. The 10 million, okay, we got to give that up, because but I don't think the 10 million is enough for the 7-year difference, even if we put the players on par. So I think it's all positive. I don't know what we do with Pjanic. What happens if we play Barcelona in the Champions League, if we get put together with them? I know we got to get past Lyon first, but we get stuck with Barcelona. Then what happens? That's an interesting characteristic, and it's happened in the past in Champions League. But we never have these transfers occur looming with the Champions League not having been completed. So this is a very weird situation, right?
The other thing too is, you like, again, this deal being so strong for Juve, you can't run the risk of Pjanic getting an injury.
Right.
Like you can't, like, I don't know if there's any type of stipulations or protection in this deal should that happen, but I don't understand why risk it, or why I don't know. For me, he's going to have something else on the brain. He's going to be ready for another adventure, and he's already been, surpassed in many people's eyes by Bentancur. I just see, offer some rest here and there. Don't run him ragged. Don't risk the injury. Just, shut it down. I don't know. I think when you factor in all the things going on, we need to move with the other guys forward. I can't see having that faith and continuing with Pjanic being a main piece, which will be very, very interesting, knowing how stubborn Sarri is. And we don't know if Sarri had been playing him recently because of the bust up rumors that were there between him and Pjanic, and then him coming out and speaking to how positive the relationship is with Pjanic, and saying that, and we are not sure if he got these starts these past two matches because it was Sarri's way of, pouring water over the fire and just kind of putting it out or whatnot. We don't really know, but it's another interesting thing to think about if Sarri's going to be stubborn with that or whatnot. What do you think?
Not to mention Sarri coming out and saying that, he wasn't in favor. He's not in favor of this. He's not been told by management about the looming changes. I mean, is he totally deaf to what's going on all around him?
Again, I don't know if he's just saying that to, there's no way. I mean, you have players who are now going to perform medicals tomorrow. So to see know nothing of this is completely ridiculous. And to just say, like, he may be wanting to, just put Pjanic's mind at ease, keep him focused on games or whatnot. But I mean, Pjanic is involved. Pjanic would have had to agree to clubs that they're going to. And we know that he spoke about Barca.
He signed the contract a long time ago with Barca. He knew he was going there a long time ago, long before all these rumors came out.
So, it's just, this is the thing. It just, I find funny, and Sarri sometimes, like, he blows my mind in pressers and whatnot. It's funny, right? But I mean, he's also in this type of position that what is he really gonna say? You know what I mean? Like, I kind of get that, but what he did say was just complete BS. We know that, and it is what it is. But I'm really curious to see if he's gonna get stubborn or not and continue on with Pjanic, because maybe in his mind, despite, like, this was the frustrating part, as you see struggles and whatnot that were happening in the season, and talking about Sarri and needing to work towards the positive signs and get that momentum built up. He's spoken about Pjanic just being in a slump. I'm sorry, but a slump doesn't stem like an entire season. That's not a slump. Like, that's not a slump. That is just not being up to the task at hand. Like, that's just being poor. That's all it comes down to. A slump, yeah, sure. 3 games, 5 games, maybe, and then turn it around. But he started off great and has been mediocre to bad for the rest. And it'll be interesting to say, because Sarri continues to praise him and always has good positive stuff to say about him. And maybe he does truly believe that's just a slump, but I really want to see what ends up happening with this deal going through. Maybe we'll know more next week as we go into the match on Tuesday against Genoa away, which will be, I think, I'm preparing for a grind, but be interesting to see what Sarri does, especially after the medicals. We'll see what happens there. talking about this deal and management and just, you know, does this type of deal, I guess it depends on where you stand and your thoughts are on our current management team, but has it in some way restored faith in the management in your eyes, or did you always have that faith in management? But for me, this deal might start to shed light on the fact that they're starting to understand that they've really allowed bad business to kind of multiply. And I think they're starting to sort it out with guys. And, we had the rumors of all these contract extensions that were going to happen this year, and then it just kind of shut right down. And I think they're kind of maybe hopefully figuring out, and maybe the pandemic might have forced their hand into how they should truly be handling their business, and getting smarter about it. I want to get your thoughts on that, Tony.
So the many, many years that I've followed Juve, and especially in the past decade or 15 years, we are the king of the free transfer. We have brought on players and made them shine later on in their years incredibly. But I think the past couple of years, we've not done such a great job with that. A great example would be Rabiot and Ramsey. Again, Rabiot being a younger person, Ramsey being a smarter and a different kind of player, but both in the midfield. We have all these midfielders on the bench, and I understand Khedira got hurt and he's on the twilight of his career, but we have so many midfields, but we don't have a good midfield. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
And certainly bringing Arturo is he's going to be a starter, and he's going to play 90 minutes. I mean, that's probably going to be the way he's going to be. So I want to see him and Bentancur playing together. So we've always done this great, free transfer, the Bosman rule, and it's just been great for us. And I think we've gotten away with it, and we've been able to get players to play in minutes and make players play really well with our system, and they blossomed in that. But I think we have to realize that sometimes you got to go and buy a 20-year-old, or you need to use your Primavera team and start bringing these players in. We haven't brought anybody in from our Primavera team and actually see him on the field. Maybe Moises Keane, and of course then we sold him to Everton. And I thought he was doing great with us last year. Again, we don't have the advantage of understanding everything on the back end, and of course we don't know everything in terms of the money and what the money situation is. But I like your point about COVID. I think COVID forced our hand and said, okay, not only are we going to go to our players and tell them they're going to have to take some money back, or we're going to take some money back from their salaries, but because we're not going to have any player or anybody watching the games. As I watch it, the stadium in the background, they're empty. I mean, that obviously there's a lack of liquidity in the funds coming in. You can only sell so many Chryslers and Fiats in the world to be able to pay for your players. So I think we've got to start growing, and I want to see those young players playing. I meant Muratore is one that was a better player, but we don't see him play. Clemenza was another one that I wanted to actually see. He's a Bernardeschi type player who plays on the right but has that sweet left foot.
How come we could have never seen Mandragora just give it a go for us?
Right.
Even offering some minutes here and there. It's just, yeah. I mean, I think I've always said I think we just need to do a better job of balancing that mix of the younger guys and your experienced guys and whatnot. But we are a bit on the opposite end when it comes to age.
Sure.
But we do have some good young guys. Bentancur, De Ligt, Demiral, Dybala still considered young. It's there, but it's just what the moves that we make around them to support them. And even when you look at a guy like Dybala, I mean, we've never had the faith to truly build around him. And he's always been that piece that we're trying to fit in rather than say, this is our guy. How do we mold this team around him? And, you kind of, you start to wonder, and this Ronaldo thing has been broken down and talked about to death, but at the time, you take that deal 100%. But it has created a bit of a struggle and challenge. What it did was just change the challenge of now creating that harmony. That was Allegri's struggle. He could not get Dybala integrated in that pitch because he did not want to take away the combination of Mandzukic and Ronaldo. So he stuck with that. And Dybala coming off that wing in that style of play, it was not working. You know, and the Ronaldo deal, yeah, there's a lot of other factors that you look at. Hindsight's 2020, all that. I still say you make that move. Any day of the week, you make that move. You bring them in. I just think what happened was it opened our eyes to what we really had. You know, we had teams that were overachieving, I think. You know, not so much domestically because the competition wasn't quite there to us, but I think we were overachieving in a sense of how deep we were getting in Champions League, blinding us to what we really needed to do. And that move prevented us from really being able to bolster our midfield, which we never truly addressed for a long time. Our midfield isn't bad by any means. Our playing style needs to, like, there's a lot of contributing factors. Playing style, the intensity, the aggression, like the risk reward, being pragmatic under Allegri, all these other factors. But, you know, all in all, you know, we probably, and I know I did, and I was wrong. I thought Ronaldo could legitimately be the difference. I thought this could be the guy takes us over the top, even at that age. I said, this could probably be the guy that takes us over the top. What it did was show me at how bad a business we have done in the background to get stuck with so many players that we cannot move now. And there's just like, it's just, we get into situations where we should keep guys to continue to build, to keep that window, that Ronaldo window of really going after the Champions League tight. But instead we've had to get rid of certain guys, even though they were outperforming guys that we were keeping over them, because we were handcuffed financially, handcuffed by the contracts, handcuffed based on no other teams wanting those guys. And that was it. That's a huge thing that I'm hoping the management will see now after, you know, the last summer, and just how bad it's been, you know, and we make these moves and, you know, nothing against him. And he scored big goals for us. Higuain, you know, so it's just an example of a move you make to weaken an opponent, but you start to leave gaps in other areas because of the finances involved in making that move, right? It's tough. Like when Higuain was signed, did you think that's the difference of winning us the Champions League?
I don't know if he made the difference for the Champions League. I think what your good point is, and you know what it happens when you take a player within one particular domestic league from one team to another, you know, just like a Barca to Real move or an Atleti Madrid to Real or Barcelona. In this case, Napoli to Juventus. You weaken your opponent, you make yourself better. So, and I know you've talked about this before, how we were both fighting for Sandro Tonali, and Inter gets him instead. It would have been a great grab for us to bring in a Tonali. Now, maybe we don't need him now with Arturo coming. Maybe now that we got this deal, we don't need the Tonali. But it's always a good thing to be able to weaken a domestic. But does it necessarily get you closer to the Champions League? That's a different kind of thing. And like you said, Serie A the past 3 to 5 years, I think, has been weaker. Our competition has been weaker, and we've won comfortably some years. This might be until about a week ago, might have been the closest we've been. Now, we have a 7-point lead today. Tomorrow, that could change.
Yeah.
But Lazio and Atalanta have really shown us, Lazio's beaten us twice this year. Let's not kid about this. And
That's the thing.
I think they deserve to win.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it got us closer. And you're right. Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, all that talk about him being Penaldo, well, it's coming to fruition now. That's where he's getting his goals. And that's not a bad thing necessarily, because there's still goals. Do you get those penalties because you're pushing the other team's defense constantly, because you're a threat constantly, because they're afraid of you, because they have to cover you so closely? If that's the case, fine. I don't know if that's going to win domestically. I don't know if that's going to help us in the Champions League.
Yeah. The thing is just looking at certain moves and just really, really, breaking them down that one step further. And where do you draw the line of weakening an opponent, but is it the right fit for the club? Like, is it the move we need to make? Is there other options? Like, it's all about options. You bring up Tonali. Tonali's a whole nother separate ballgame that ties into what we were talking about earlier, which was the combination of the younger guys with the experienced guys. I start to get worried when guys are choosing our rivals over us.
Right.
And we're starting to lose that connection with the Azzurri, the connection that drew you into Juventus way back, right? And we have gradually lost the ties to the Azzurri. The management, did this move restore faith? Was my question in management. And for me, I think the pandemic has and last summer has been an eye-opener. And I think Paulo Dybala's performance this season is also an eye-opener, because they tried to push him out last summer. And with what he's done this season, that should have been the ultimate eye-opener, that you guys are making mistakes, and potentially critical ones. Because if you are doing business and your business gets you to a point where you're running a kid like this out of town, you've got problems. Right. Big, big problems. So it's funny how we go from that summer to now this year, and the discussion has become, we need to lock him down. He's our 10. He's our centerpiece. And I'm just thinking, you guys get your shit together. That's it.
Right.
But has this move restored faith? A bit. I think they're starting to see the big picture. I think it's going to come around. Moving one of Rabiot or Ramsey, I think they're also starting to get that, you know what, you got to spend some money, because ultimately you get what you pay for. Rewarding the Bosman players with high wages and bonuses makes zero sense. And I think they're starting to clue in. I hope so. Let's hope so. But if this Arthur deal goes through, this is a big win, in my opinion. It sounds like you agree, Tony. So let's hope that management continues on in that regard.